You wake up, same pain, different morning. Eyes open, but the soul, that thing's been dragging itself through a graveyard for years now. And you sit there pretending everything's okay, lying to yourself louder than the silence you drown in. I know you. I know what you do when no one's watching. You ache. You ache in places no surgeon could stitch shut. And every time someone tells you to just be positive, it makes you want to put your fist through a mirror. Because they don't get it. They don't get that you're not weak. You're worn out. You're not soft. You're just tired of carrying everybody's mess. Cleaning up behind their chaos while they forget your name the second they smile at someone else. They used you, didn't they? Said all the pretty words. Told you they needed you. Played the role till you were hooked. Then what? They dipped. Ghosted you. Or worse, stayed just long enough to bleed you dry. But here's what you're not seeing. The lesson. See, pain's a professor that doesn't hand out degrees. It breaks your back and expects you to crawl out smarter. That betrayal, that heartbreak, that fake loyalty they shoved down your throat, it wasn't for nothing. That was training. Scars ain't decorations, kid. They're reminders. They're warnings. They scream, don't trust like that again. People will come into your life like storms, loud, intense, and unpredictable. But the ones who stay, they're quiet, silent like wolves. They don't bark about loyalty. They prove it. Problem is, you're so used to noise. You mistake peace for boredom. And you run from it. You sabotage the calm because chaos is what raised you. That trauma, it became home. That silence, it feels like danger. So you chase after what broke you and call it love. But listen here, that ends now. You've got to stop romanticizing your suffering. Stop thinking being broken makes you deep. Pain isn't poetry, it's poison. And if you don't learn to bleed it out, it's gonna choke you from the inside. You gotta cut the dead weight, block the numbers, burn the bridges, dig a grave for your old self and bury every excuse with it. You want peace? You want real strength? Then build a mind so dangerous people fear losing your silence more than your voice, and they don't care what you're going through. Let that sink in. No one's coming. No one's checking in at 3 a.m. when your chest feels like it's collapsing. No one's holding your hand when anxiety eats your breath. It's you versus everything. That's the truth. And yeah, it's unfair. Life ain't some fairy tale where karma shows up wearing a crown. Sometimes the villain wins. Sometimes the good guy bleeds. But that doesn't mean you stop. That doesn't mean you fold. You turn your rage into routine. Your grief into grind. You show up every damn day and sharpen your pain like a blade. They're watching, you know? The same ones who left you behind. They peek. They stalk. They gossip. They want to see if you fell apart without them. So don't give them that ending. Don't let them have that satisfaction. Rise. Not with smiles and fake forgiveness, but with power. Cold, brutal, unshakable power. The kind that speaks without words. The kind that walks in and changes the temperature of a room. That's who you're becoming now. You ever notice how they only remember you when they're bored? When they've used up everyone else, burned every bridge, and suddenly you're the last light on the street they scorched? They come knocking like nothing happened, like your loyalty's a free refill. And you open the door, you always do, 'cause you got that curse, that heart that still believes broken people can love right. That maybe, just maybe, this time, they'll choose you differently. But they won't. They never do. They only come back to see if you're still weak enough to let them in. And most times, you are. You weren't born cold. They made you that way. You weren't always suspicious or quiet or closed off. You used to laugh without checking who was watching. You used to talk without rehearsing every damn sentence in your head. But time, and people chipped away at that version of you, till all that's left is someone who survives instead of lives. You flinch at kindness now, second-guess compliments, and overthink, how are you? Like it's a trap. That ain't living. That's prison in your own head. And the guards, they wear familiar faces. Let me tell you something real. No matter how good you are, how selfless you become, how many times you break yourself to build others, some people will never see your worth, and it's not your job to make them. Stop proving. Stop pleasing. Stop bleeding just to keep their comfort warm. Some folks are blind on purpose. They see the light in you, and instead of basking in it, they throw dirt on it, 'cause they hate their own darkness. That ain't love. That's leeching. And it's time you pulled the damn plug. You don't need closure. You don't need apologies or explanations or one last talk. You need boundaries. You need silence. You need that ruthless kind of self-respect that says, if you didn't value me when I was soft, you sure as hell don't deserve me now that I'm steel. Let them talk. Let them spin stories and paint you as the villain. Let them cry wolf when the fire they lit burns them back. Your truth don't need defense. Let the results speak. Let your success echo. Let your glow blind them. And while they're stuck reminiscing about who you were, you'll be too far gone, too far grown to care. Pain changes people. That's a fact. But you get to choose how. You can rot in resentment, or you can rise in revenge. Not the petty kind, not the watch me get even kind. I'm talking the kind that builds empires in silence. The kind that walks away from disrespect and never looks back. The kind that stops explaining and starts executing. You owe it to yourself to become the person your younger self needed. Not the one they molded with neglect, but the one who walks in with scars and still stands taller than the hurt. You've got rage in your chest. Use it. You've got sadness in your bones. Channel it. You've got memories that feel like knives under your skin. Let them sharpen you. Every time they lied, every time they used you, every time they left when you needed them most, turn it into fuel. Burn it. Heat your grind with it. And next time someone underestimates you, just smile. 'Cause they ain't met the version of you built from betrayal. The one who stopped waiting. The one who finally got tired of being the hero in a story where they never got saved. They'll call you heartless now, cold, distant, different, and they're right. You are. But not because you chose to be some villain in their bedtime story. Nah. You became this because kindness got you kicked, because loyalty got you left, because vulnerability got you broken and buried. And now you're done playing nice in a world that bites the hand that feeds it. You're done apologizing for building walls they forced you to put up. People forget that trust is built, not begged for. They think just 'cause they miss you, they deserve you. But what they miss isn't you, it's the benefits of having you around. The comfort, the care, the way you always picked up, showed up, held on when everyone else let go. What they really miss is the version of you that didn't know better. But now you know. You know that love without respect is just manipulation. You know that attention without intention is just a game, and you're not playing anymore. You used to bend so much, you forgot what it felt like to stand tall. Used to give so much, you forgot what it meant to receive. Used to forgive so fast, you forgot that some people don't need grace. They need distance. You gave the best parts of yourself to people who couldn't even handle your worst day. And when you needed them, when life got loud and messy and real, they were ghosts, gone without explanation, quiet when you needed a storm. And still, you blame yourself. You ask what you did wrong. You overanalyze every conversation, every decision, every word. But here's the truth. It was never about you. It was about them. Their damage, their cowardice, their inability to handle someone real. People fear intensity because it exposes their emptiness. They hate loyalty because they can't mirror it. You scared them. You showed them what real looked like, and it made them uncomfortable. So they left. Not because you were too much, but because they were never enough. Now you carry that weight. Walk with all that anger, all that grief, like it's stitched into your spine. And people still dare to ask, why are you so guarded? As if they didn't watch you break and then pretend they were blind. As if they didn't sip tea while you bled out. You survived wars they didn't even hear. Buried versions of yourself just to make them feel safe. And still, they talk. Still, they judge. Still, they act like you're the problem when all you ever did was love too loud in a world built on whispers. But listen closely now. You ain't broken. You're battle-tested. You're not heartless. You're healed. Or at least healing. slowly, brutally, but surely. And healing ain't some pretty process. It's ugly, it's lonely, it's silent nights and loud thoughts. It's crying in your car and wiping your own tears. It's choosing to let go when all you want is a reason to hold on. It's deleting the message you want to send, blocking the number you still memorize, walking past the places you once called home. This pain, it ain't punishment, it's permission. Permission to stop being a martyr for people who'd never bleed for you. Permission to protect your peace, even if it means being the bad guy in their narrative. Let them talk. Let them play the victim. Your silence will scream louder than any explanation. You're not here to be understood anymore. You're here to evolve, to rebuild, to become the version of you that don't flinch anymore. The version that knows peace isn't found in people. It's forged in solitude. You're not here to beg for love, not anymore. You're here to deserve it, to attract it, by becoming the kind of person no one gets to play with twice. You're here to rise, quietly, powerfully, permanently. When they realize what they lost, when the silence eats them alive, that's your closure. That's your revenge. That's your rebirth. They think you're doing fine now, don't they? Just because you stopped complaining. Just because you smile a little more. Just because you post a few pictures and say a few casual words. But deep down, you're still fighting demons that wear familiar faces. You're still waking up to memories that claw your chest open. Before your feet even hit the floor, you still sit in silence and replay what they did, what they said, how it all flipped without warning. And the worst part? You never even got a goodbye. Just silence. Just distance. Just the cold reality that people will outgrow you while you're still trying to water the roots. That's the thing about real ones like you. You don't walk away easy. You don't give up fast. You stay. You fight. You believe. Even when they're giving you every reason not to, you still hold on because you think maybe they're just scared. Maybe they just need time. Maybe they'll come around. But what you don't realize is that you're the only one holding the rope. They let go a long time ago. And you? You've been dragging dead weight, calling it love. That's why you're tired. That's why you feel drained. Because you keep trying to resuscitate what's already buried. You need to understand something. Not everyone who leaves your life is a loss. Some are straight up upgrades when they walk out. Some are lessons dressed as blessings. And sure, it hurts. I'm not saying it doesn't. But hurt isn't the enemy. Staying hurt is. Grief, that's the price of love. But suffering? That's what happens when you keep running back to the fire thinking it'll be warmer this time. You ain't weak for feeling. You ain't soft for crying. But you're reckless for going back to what almost killed you. thinking this time it'll heal you. Let me tell you what makes you powerful. You stayed real through it all. Even when they gave you reasons to switch up, you didn't. Even when they changed, you held your ground. And yeah, maybe that left you alone. Maybe that got you labeled as too much or too intense. But being real will always isolate you before it elevates you. Because the fake ones, they move in packs. They survive in numbers. But the real ones, the lions, they walk alone. You gotta stop explaining yourself to people committed to misunderstanding you. Stop lowering your frequency to match their noise. You weren't meant to blend in. You were built to stand out. That overthinking, that anxiety, that ache in your chest when you feel like you're too much for them to handle, that's not weakness. That's awareness. That's proof you've got depth in a world that loves the shallow. They couldn't handle your honesty, couldn't handle how you called out patterns, saw behind masks, smelled lies and smiles. They needed someone they could mold, and you were unshapable. That's why they dipped. You became a mirror, and they couldn't face what they saw. But now you rise, quietly. You put your energy into yourself. You pour your loyalty into your own cup. You stop chasing, stop asking, stop reaching out. Not from bitterness, but from clarity. Because now you know if it was meant for you, it would have stayed. If it respected you, it wouldn't have hurt you. If it was real, it wouldn't have required your destruction. Let them regret it. Let them realize. Let them sit with the silence they created and the version of you they'll never meet again. You don't need closure. You are the closure. You don't need revenge. You are the consequence. Just wait. Let your peace haunt them. Let your success disturb their comfort. Let your absence be the punishment their actions purchased. Because you're not healing to be accepted back. You're healing to be unreachable. You're building a version of yourself that can never be touched the same way again. And when you walk past the places that broke you, when you no longer flinch at the names that once made your stomach drop, that's when you'll know. It wasn't pain. It was preparation. You ever notice how the world only claps when you're winning? Not when you're bleeding. Not when you're silent, curled up in the corner of your own mind, battling ghosts nobody else can see. No, they only show up when the lights are on, when the shine returns, when the wounds start to look like stories and not open cuts. But where were they when you were gasping in the dark, when every breath felt like a curse, when your whole chest was burning with pain and you still got up and smiled like it was nothing? They don't love you. They love the version of you that hides the suffering well. They love the survivor, but they ignore the scars. They want the finished product, not the fight it took to get there. You learned to be your own hero, didn't you? Not because you wanted to, but because no one else stepped up. Nobody wiped your tears. Nobody fought your battles. You were the one giving pep talks to yourself at 2 a.m., convincing yourself that you still had a reason to keep breathing. You were the one pulling your heart off the floor, cleaning up the mess someone else made, just so you could keep going. And now they want to act like they always believed in you. Now they want to circle back, ask how you've been, pretend like the silence they gave you was just space. Let me say this loud. You owe them nothing. Not your time, not your words, not your forgiveness. People who watch you suffer and stay silent, that's who they really are. That's what you need to remember. Not the memories, not the laughs, not the fake apologies. Just that moment when you needed someone and they chose to do nothing. Let that burn into your mind like a tattoo. Let it remind you why you stopped answering, why you stopped hoping. Because the second time you give them a chance, that's not on them, that's on you. But I get it. You're not just angry, you're exhausted from pretending, from constantly being the strong one, from always having to be okay when everything inside you is screaming. You walk around with a smile so nobody sees the war inside. You laugh so they don't hear the silence you sleep in. But deep down, you're tired of holding it together. You're tired of showing up for people who wouldn't crawl for you if you were on fire. That's the curse of being the one who never breaks. They think you can't. So break, cry, let it all out. Not in front of them, but in front of you. Let yourself feel everything they told you to bury. The disappointment, the anger, the betrayal. Let it hit you like a storm, because only when the storm clears do you realize what's still standing. And you're still here, still breathing, still rising. They threw everything at you. Doubt, disrespect, distance, and still you kept going. That's not weakness. That's power. That's proof that their absence didn't define you. Your will did. You know what the real flex is? Not glowing up just to stunt on them. Not showing off just to prove a point. The real flex is peace. Is disappearing so deep into your own healing that by the time they realize what they lost, they can't even reach you anymore. You grow so much, they can't find the version of you they used to hurt. You become so focused, so dangerous, so disciplined, that their access becomes a privilege they no longer qualify for. Let them talk. Let them laugh. Let them act like they didn't do what they did. Because karma, that's not your job. Closure, that's not your mission. You are your mission now. Your growth, your grind, your glow. Let your evolution be a revenge. Let your silence be your answer. And let your success be the tombstone to every doubt, every lie, every betrayal they fed you. You don't need to scream. You just need to become. Become the type of person that makes them regret ever thinking you were weak. That's the goal. That's the end game. You ever sit in a room full of people and feel like a stranger? Smile when your heart's fractured into pieces. Laugh just so they don't ask questions. That's the kind of pain no one claps for. No one gives you a medal for surviving that kind of emptiness. You're sitting there screaming inside while they talk about their day like you ain't burning in silence. And the messed up part? You normalize it. You carry it like it's just part of life. But that weight, that's not yours to bear forever. You were never meant to carry the expectations of people who never understood your depth. You were never meant to explain your pain to the ones who caused it. You were never meant to justify your scars to people who only saw the surface. And I know what you're thinking. You're thinking maybe you were the problem. That maybe if you were less emotional, less intense, less you, they would have stayed. But here's the truth. They never told you. Your presence exposed their lack. Your loyalty revealed their disloyalty. Your consistency made their chaos look stupid. So they did what cowards do. They ran. They ghosted. They pointed fingers. Because taking accountability, that's not in their vocabulary. It's easier to villainize the one who actually cared than face the fact that they didn't deserve it. You were gold in a world that only values glitter. And the moment you stopped shining for them, they walked like you were never real. So now what? Do you keep shrinking? Keep dimming your light just to fit in? Or do you finally rise? Not with noise, but with discipline. Not with anger, but with clarity. Not to prove them wrong, but to prove to yourself that you were never the broken one. That it was never about fixing yourself for others. It was about fixing your focus. Because while you were busy loving them, they were busy loving themselves. While you were loyal to their flaws, they were loyal to their ego. That's why you lost. That's why you hurt. But not anymore. From here on out, you move different. You stop begging for the bare minimum. You stop settling for people who only reach out when they need something. You stop explaining your soul to people who don't even speak the language of realness. You don't chase. You don't plead. You don't justify. You cut. And not with guilt. With grace. With the type of grace that says, I still wish you peace, but I wish it far away from me. That's power. That's healing. That's evolution. They think you're distant now, cold, emotionless. Let them. Let them misread your silence. Let them think you stopped caring. You didn't stop. You just got smart. You learned that peace isn't about pretending you're okay. It's about protecting yourself from anything that threatens your sanity. You learned that real love doesn't come with confusion. That when someone really values you, you don't have to decode their intentions. You don't have to guess if you matter. They show you daily, consistently, loudly. Not when it's convenient, but especially when it's not. And you've got work to do, not to get revenge, not to clap back, but to become, to rebuild the parts of you they tried to break, to become so rooted in who you are that no storm can shake you again. That's your mission now. Quiet progress. Silent power. You show up for yourself the way you used to show up for everyone else. You be your own savior, your own home, your own light. Because at the end of the day, the one person who's always been there for you is you. And you might not be where you want to be yet, but you're not where you used to be either. That progress, that pain, it wasn't wasted. It molded something fierce in you, something sharp, something untouchable. And every day you wake up and choose to keep going, that's the loudest "I'm not done yet" the world will ever hear. So don't quit, don't shrink, don't apologize. Let your silence speak. Let your energy warn. Let your discipline scream. And if anyone asks why you've changed, tell them this. Because I finally stopped betraying myself to keep others comfortable. You remember the nights, don't you? The ones where your phone stayed silent. The ones where your heart begged for a message that never came. Where you stared at the screen, hoping, praying, bargaining with the silence. But all you got back was the same nothingness they gave you when they walked away. And yet, you still cared. Still wanted to believe they'd come around. Still held space in your chest for people who left you for dead when you needed them most. That's the kind of loyalty they'll never understand. The kind that loves even when it hurts, that stays even when it's bleeding. That forgives what it never should have tolerated. But those days are over. That version of you, gone. See, when a person shows you they can live without you, believe them. Stop trying to hand your love to people who drop it like it's worthless. Stop offering your time, your peace, your soul to folks who only show up when the spotlight's on. Where were they when the lights were off? When the tears were real? When the world was quiet and all you had was that voice in your head telling you to hold on a little longer? That was you fighting. Not them, not their love, not their promises. Just you, your grit, your rage, your refusal to stay broken. And that's why you don't owe them a damn thing anymore. You owe you. You owe the version of you that stood when it had every reason to fall. You owe the kid in you that wanted to be seen, to be chosen, to be enough. You owe that broken version who cried into their own hands and still had to get up the next morning like nothing happened. That person, that wounded, loyal, heart too big for this world version, you protect them now. No more giving without reciprocation. No more showing up where you're not wanted. No more keeping quiet to avoid offending people who never gave a damn about hurting you. It's time you became what you always needed. Strong, cold, unavailable. People say, "But you've changed," and they say it like it's a crime. Like you were supposed to stay that soft, naive version they could step on forever. They say it like evolving is betrayal. But the real betrayal, that was what they did when you were still soft, when you were still trusting, when you still let things slide just to keep peace. Now, you are the storm. Now you don't bend, you break what tries to bend you. Now you don't explain, you distance. That's not change out of bitterness. That's transformation out of survival. You gotta stop mourning people who are still alive. Stop hoping they'll one day wake up and understand what they lost. They won't. Not because you weren't valuable, but because they weren't capable. They couldn't see the gold while they were holding it. They needed to lose it. They needed silence. They needed a version of you that no longer picks up, no longer explains, no longer waits. Because let's be real, they never missed you. They missed what you did, what you gave, the comfort, the effort, the way you always made it easy for them. They don't miss you. They miss using you. So now, you disappear. Not to punish them, but to find you again. You cut ties not out of revenge, but out of respect for yourself. You stop chasing closure and start creating distance. And that distance, that silence, that's your answer. That's your protection. That's your peace. You start building in the shadows, training in the dark, evolving without announcement. You don't post every move. You don't need validation. Your results will speak louder than anything they could ever say. And when they try to come back, when they finally realize, you won't be angry. You'll be unreachable. Let that be your new level. Unreachable. Too healed to be touched. Too focused to be distracted. Too cold to be played again. That's what they taught you. That's the lesson. And yeah, it was cruel. It was painful. It almost broke you, but it didn't. You're still here, still breathing, still building, and that right there, that's the kind of power they'll never understand. There's something dangerous about a person who loved deeply and then healed something cold, something untouchable. Because that kind of person doesn't beg anymore. They don't explain, don't chase, don't sit around waiting for someone to value them. They become the value. And that's exactly where you are now. You're not begging anyone to see your worth. You're building it in silence. You're not keeping anyone close out of fear of being alone. You've already been alone in rooms full of people. You've cried in the shower, screamed in pillows, and walked through days like a ghost with a fake smile plastered on your face. And now you're done faking, done pleasing, done sacrificing your peace so someone else can sleep better at night. Let them call you distant. Let them say you've gone cold. What they don't understand is that it takes fire to build steel. That silence is a weapon when used right. You're not cold. You're calculated. Every move now is surgical. You don't react. You observe. You don't talk. You listen. You don't give warnings. You give consequences. That's what pain taught you. That's what betrayal carved into your bones. You used to be the open book. Easy to read, easy to use, easy to leave. Now, you're a locked vault, and the ones who had the key, they lost it when they thought you'd always be there. People always think they've got time to fix it, time to come back, time to explain. But what they don't realize is that healing has a deadline. And once you hit that threshold, once the numbness replaces the ache, there's no rewinding. You don't feel the sting anymore. You just feel done. Not angry, not bitter, just done. And that kind of done, it's irreversible. They thought your silence was temporary, that you'd break like before, that you'd come running if they called, but they forgot. This version of you isn't the one they left. This version doesn't even flinch when they show up. You used to need closure. Now you just need space. You used to want answers. Now you want peace. You used to wonder if they ever cared. Now you understand. It doesn't matter. Because no matter how much you overthink, how many times you replay the moments, it won't change what happened. What's done is done. And dragging your heart through the mud, trying to decode ghosts, won't bring you any closer to freedom. So stop. Stop reopening wounds just to check if they still hurt. They do. But pain is no longer your enemy. It's your fuel, your blueprint, your reminder to never settle for half love and borrowed time again. Now your days are different. You move in silence. You don't announce your plans. You don't share your dreams with people who once laughed at your potential. You walk with purpose, every step intentional, every decision sharpened by past lessons. You're not reactive, you're strategic. You're not loud, you're lethal. And those who thought they broke you, they'll only recognize you by the back of your head, walking away without a word, without a second glance, without regret. That's how you win now. Not by arguing, not by proving your side, not by screaming your pain to the ones who caused it. You win by disappearing, by becoming a version so focused, so disciplined, so unfazed that they'll question if they ever really knew you. You win by turning pain into routine, loneliness into power, silence into a statement. Every ignored message, every back turned, every fake apology, they were bricks. And you built a fortress. And now that you're inside it, don't open the gate just because someone knocks. Make them earn their access. Make them show up with consistency, not just sweet words and borrowed apologies. Make them bleed for the right to witness your light again, because you know what you bring to the table. You always did. And now, you sit at that table alone if you have to, but never again with people who make you question your own worth.